Hi, guys. Today we have Stephen Gomez, who is an associate broker at Real Living Property for You, which an associate broker also does real estate. So he can show you properties. He can tell you all about the neighborhoods that you're looking in and tell you so much more than just how to buy a house. So without further ado, I'll let Stephen introduce himself.
Hey guys, Stephen F. Gomez. Vicky, thank you for the introduction and for having me here. I am an associate broker for Real Living Property for You, and we're here to talk about real estate and finances. So I'm excited.
So, Stephen, can you tell me a little bit about your background and your family?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I grew up pretty much in real estate my whole life, so it's kind of in the background all the time. My dad, those funny stories of my dad waking me up to go help him paint houses or apartments, definitely grew up like that. Wasn't completely sold on real estate at that time. It was just kind of a job that I had to do, part of the family. He's a small time investor, nothing crazy. But that's where I kind of got the roots and the interest. Uh, then when I got to college, I started exploring. As college is that's kind of the time you start to
Yep.
explore, and I got hooked on real estate when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was
Hmm.
21, and that's just such a foundational book and changing your mindset and teaching you how to invest. And real estate is really the catalyst for that. It's just such a great investment that it just enthralled me, and I just started my learning process at that point because it's a long learning process. So just started really learning a lot about real estate. You know, bought my own house as just primary residence to live in because I knew it wasn't a good investment, and that kind of led to flipping houses. I started
Hmm.
exploring that. And then I wanted to just know everything about houses. So I went back to school. I got an design degree, worked for a really prominent interior design firm here in town, and just loads of experience and great knowledge from that. Then I went and got my certified for HVAC as a technician, which is air conditioning and heating, and just really just kind of threw myself into real estate. I just wanted to know everything about it. And it's been a process from there. Just keep learning. The thing about real estate is there's always more to learn. So it's constant learning, and I love it. Things change, strategies change, um, but there's always opportunity, and that's what I love about it.
That's true. And I know that you learned a lot about green homes and tech homes. And so there's so much smart homes and everything
Yeah,
going into that too. And so and I laughed kind of to myself when you said your dad kind of made you do all these jobs because I can just imagine like a young Stephen getting a door knock, like, no, it's time to go and getting pulled out of
yeah.
bed to like go paint.
Wasn't fun at the time, but now
No, no.
I look back and it's fun.
Yeah, my parents kind of did some stuff to me too, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. I wish I didn't have to do it at the time, but I'm glad that I did experience it. So
Yeah,
it's good when you're older, and then you remember that you have to do that to your kids as well, because
yeah.
they'll appreciate it when they're older. Um, talking about flipping homes, what do you look at when you're thinking about purchasing a home to flip?
So what I look at specifically when I am trying to buy a house to flip is all about what you pay for the property.
Okay,
And that has a lot to do with the market. So it's not
okay,
always the easiest time to flip properties. It can
okay.
definitely, there's some flows to it as the market goes up and down. So there are certain times where I would say, it's going to be hard to find flip properties and make a good profit because there's formulas that I can give you. Do you want to hear some of the formulas so people to
Sure,
kind
go
of,
for it.
yeah, just kind of get right
Go
into it?
for it.
So,
Let's see.
yeah, so what you want to do is you do want to talk to somebody who's either one familiar with how to value properties or two
Mhm.
a realtor who does it every day.
Yeah,
So just have
yeah.
somebody who can be confident in the values that they give you. And with that, what you want to do is you want to look at what would the property be worth after you've renovated it? That's called an ARV, after renovation value. At that point, you want to take the cost of the property to get it up to that standard to sell it for that cost. So repairs, you want to reduce that from the after renovation value. And then at that point, the typical rule of thumb is 70%.
Okay.
And the reason you want 70% is because there's always something that you can't predict is going to happen. It's either going to take longer, there's going to be holding costs, there's going to be repairs you missed or didn't account for. And you want to make sure it's worth your time, because you're risking your money and you're risking your time. The one thing I want to really, really bring to the surface is that flip properties are not passive income. That is something that I think is really important. It's like another job. You're basically taking on another job of fixing the property or just overseeing the property, overseeing the work, making sure it gets done. So depending on what type of investments you're looking for, you're either looking for hands-on properties or hands-off investments. Flip properties are definitely hands-on. They will take time out of your day, out of your week, to make sure things are running and you make a profit. So just make sure you keep that in mind.
So if you're a person who's looking at a flip, should you have a contracting background? Should you have that kind of background to do the flip?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So one thing you have to get used to as an investor is risk. So every investment you do, there's risk involved. Some low risk, some high risk. So you have to get used to just being okay with some risk in order to make profit off your investments. So I think that on your first property, you just need to align yourself with people who know. So basically, you need to line up a good lender. You need to line up a good realtor. You need to line up a good contractor, a good home inspector. Line all these people up, get good referrals from your realtor, who's probably knows a lot of those people, and take advantage of their knowledge. And then you can learn it by being inquisitive.
Yeah.
So just
ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, I mean, if just because you're paying them doesn't mean you can keep paying them if you want to, but if you're just there during the process and being inquisitive and learning, at some point you'll be able to do it yourself, or you'll just know a lot more and you'll make better decisions.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Because if you don't ask questions, you're not going to learn. So, and they don't know that you don't know it unless you ask.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah. So, and we talked about the passive income versus the non-passive income. So,
yeah.
Passive income would be being a landlord, right?
Possibly. Yes. Yes.
Possibly.
And no. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to kind of choose what kind of landlord you want to be.
Okay.
So, I love buy and hold. It is one of my favorite. To me, it's the lowest risk investment that somebody can make. But
what is that? What is buy and hold?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So buy and hold is basically rentals. So you buy a house and you rent them out for so many years. And there's just a lot of advantages to that. We can get into that, but I want to explain the landlord part first. So
okay, sure.
As you get a rental, you have to decide, once again, how hands-on do you want to be? And you can really get burnt out as a landlord. So once again, you should probably have a property manager take care of the property for you, and then you can learn from them once again. And then if you feel like you got things under control and you know what you're doing, then maybe you can become a property manager yourself of your own properties. But me, I'm pretty familiar with property management. And I still have a property manager because I just prefer a little more hands-off. So a good way to look at property management is, I think they're well worth their money if you find a good one, because they take about 90% of all the horrible things about being a landlord off your plate, right? If you have to evict somebody, or have to go chase people down for rent, or There's repairs, and you got to find somebody to fix them. Uh, Things like that, they take all that off of your plate. So to me, that's so worth it. But the 10% that you still have to do is managing the property manager, because they're not going to love your property like you do. They have 1,000 properties, and you don't always take priority. So you just have to stay on them. You have to be like, hey, how's rent coming? Hey, are there any issues? You just kind of have to make those phone calls to make sure that things are getting done. So, but to me, it's well worth taking 90% of all the, not fun
Bad stuff
off your plate. So that's a
Right.
really good way to start so you don't get burnt out. And it's a lot more passive. You can have a lot more properties and build wealth a lot faster if you aren't doing all the work. And you just build the cost of the property manager into the numbers. You build it into your profits.
That's
So
awesome.
that's the
And,
best way to do that.
and you were saying that's the buy and hold?
That's buy and hold rentals. Yep,
Okay. Okay.
absolutely.
Awesome. So who should be a landlord?
Who should be a landlord? You mean it's a personal choice, honestly.
Okay.
It's really a personal choice. Like, I don't think if you've ever done it before, you probably should not do it. But I think
Okay.
if you like to be involved and you find yourself really enjoying like real estate and talking to people and like screening people and kind of picking and choosing your who your renters are going to be, but also once again being inquisitive. There's laws that you have to follow. There's fair housing laws, there's contract law, there's things that you have to know. So I wouldn't say risk that stuff in the beginning. Have a property manager do it. But if you're inquisitive and you find yourself really enjoying real estate and learning all of it, then at that point make the decision to take it
Yeah.
over.
Oh,
It's a
that sounds good.
personal decision though.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like a hard decision. Yeah. And how do you know if you should invest in a rental property? Like, who would you say is a good person to take on that risk?
Um, when I talk to my clients, I kind of go through a process. So when we sit down and talk, the first thing we talk about is debt. How much debt do they have, right? Because one of the main things in building wealth is debt control. So I am an avid reader of Dave Ramsey. I like a lot of what he
Good stuff.
teaches. Yeah, Ultimate Money Makeover is really, really good. I don't necessarily agree with his investing strategies. He's very, very risk adverse. And I think there are ways to leverage and be smart with how you leverage in order to grow builder wealth, higher net worth. So, as long as you are not over leveraging, I think it's smart to do that. But debt control and what he preaches is very, very important. And then having emergency funds, having savings, that's part two. And then once you get that, we talk about risk versus reward with like flipping and long-term buy and hold strategies, because now I can get into the benefits of real estate and buy and hold. So if you keep a property for more than 1 year and then you sell it, you get tax advantage, which is called the long-term capital gains. So that's one of the reasons why I like to hold property longer. But on top of that, it's just the real estate market is such a driving force in the U.S. economy. The government really provides a lot of benefits, encourages people to own real estate. So with that being said, if you take advantage of those benefits, it really is it really makes it kind of a no-brainer to be a real estate investor because of all these advantages. So I'll continue with that. There is the capital gains tax advantage. There's depreciation on your property that it helps you on your taxes. And there's also the deductions of cost on those properties, like insurance and interest and all of those payments. That the only thing you can't really deduct on investment properties is the principal, because that takes if you know what principal, you know what principal is. But in case you guys out there don't know what principal is,
Yes.
when you're paying your mortgage, the money that pays your loan down is your principal. So if you buy a house for 100,000 and you owe 100,000, and let's say $200 of your payment goes towards principal, now you only owe $99,800. So, and that's the only thing that you can't deduct on taxes. All the other costs you can deduct. So it's really, it really helps deduct your taxes and just long-term advantages for real estate.
Right. That sounds awesome. So I know you have done a lot with building wealth and just investments. And so can you tell me a little bit about what you've been doing with that?
Yeah. So I do some flips, but they're harder right now. They are harder to find. So, this is what I tell people. Here's the truth. If you want another full-time job, then get a flip property, because it takes a lot of time to go out and find the property. Because the truth is, guys, let's be real. Nobody's going to go out there, find a great deal on a property, and then give it to you. They're going to keep it. They're going to keep it for themselves.
Yes,
especially because they're hard to find right now. So they're knocking on doors. They're sending mailers in. They're spending all this money to find these deals, and they're not just going to give it to you. They're going to keep it and make the money themselves. So that means you have to actually go out there, knock on doors, send mailers, find these great deals, which is a lot of work. So they're just really hard to find. And then when you find them, they're a lot of work to actually flip. So if you plan on like changing your your whole job and your career, and like, I'm just going to flip for full time, then you could probably make some pretty good money. But then there's risk there too, because now you don't have a job to pay the bills. So you just got to be really careful with flip properties. I've done a couple just because I've run into the deals and I kind of got lucky. So then I flip the properties and resell them. But for the most part, buy and hold is the easiest and the best way to build wealth. And the reason is rent prices stay super consistent. They pretty much go up in price throughout history. Sometimes they'll slow down. Sometimes they'll stagnate. If they dip just a little tiny bit. It's not even noticeable. So for the most part, rent prices keep going up. And while the renters are in there, guess what? They're paying your bills for you. They're paying your principal down for you. And the difference between that is your profit every month. And at the same exact time, the house over a long period of time is appreciating and going up in value. So not only is your income increasing every year and your returns are getting better every single year, but your equity is growing every single year. And that's how you build net worth, is because the difference between your debt and all your liabilities and your assets, the value of your assets, that's your net worth. So take the value of everything you own and subtract all your debt, and that's your net worth. And so as that equity is growing, and let's say you have multiple properties and it's all growing at the same time, your net worth is really exploding.
Well, you're making me want to invest in some property right now.
Yeah. It's really the tried and true.
Yeah.
It's really tried and true.
Yeah.
Like that has worked over and over and over again through the ages, through the times, through recessions, through the booms, through everything.
Absolutely.
It really is a tried and true way to build wealth.
Absolutely. And so you listen to a lot of podcasts and audio books. And
I do.
so I know
Kind of
you're
a nerd.
addicted to it.
Yeah,
it's okay. I've even sent you stuff too.
Yeah, I know.
To make it even worse. So what things have been the most significant, or ones that are like your top things that have made most difference for you?
Yes. Okay, so everybody, we'll start with books. If you are going to start changing your mindset about building wealth in real estate, just building wealth in general, but also real estate, you have to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That is like the basic book. that explains everything to you. Most big investors, they start with that book. So start
I've heard
there.
that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll hear that a lot. I'm not the first person to say that.
No.
Everybody says that. Okay.
Yeah.
2, I really, really love Bigger Pockets.
Okay.
Bigger Pockets, they're everywhere now. They've gotten pretty big. But the reason they're so good is like they're very real. They don't paint a like pie in the sky picture of, how easy it is. Like they're very, very real. But they also explain the potential. And they have a biggerpockets.com. They have tons of books, and if you, depending on what type of real estate you're interested in, I can recommend different kinds of books. And then they're on YouTube, and they have a podcast.
Okay.
So you could just search Bigger Pockets in all those platforms, and you'll just get loads of ridiculously good content. Like all the secrets are all right in that one source. So go there.
Get some knowledge.
Get some knowledge, absolutely. And read Rich Dad Poor Dad at the same time. I have some other ones too.
At the same time. Okay. You can spill it. I could put it in the show notes. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so for debt and for savings, you want to read Ultimate Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. It's a really good one. And some really good YouTubers who also have podcasts are Garrett Gunderson. He talks a lot about real estate, but also about finance in general. And then Graham Stevens pretty good too. I do recommend him as well.
If you didn't catch all of that, it'll be in the show notes. So if you're driving or whatever, don't try to write that all down. So
you know what? I actually have a book right here that I also
yeah.
recommend. I'll just show you.
Okay.
Because becoming a real estate investor can like sound scary, right? It sounds like, oh, I gotta have all this money, blah, blah, blah. There's very simple strategies in using your primary residence, which is you get a lot lower interest rates, you get assistance on the down payment a lot of times. It's just so much easier to turn your primary residence into rentals, using certain strategies. And this is actually a really good book. Can you see it?
Okay.
Automatic Millionaire Homeowner. That's also a really good book. And it just teaches you how your house turns into a great, one of the best investments of your life. It turns into
a cash cow.
Cash cow. It's a nest egg for your retirement. It's It can be a lot simpler than it sounds, but it takes time too. Yeah, it's patience, time, consistency, all of those things.
Americans have patience. Let's see if we can do that. You can have patience out there, people. So anything else you'd like to let our readers know about you, or anything else you want to end with?
Yeah, at some point I'll start a podcast, but
okay. I'm waiting for it.
I know, not yet. I have a lot of content though. I have a lot of content on Instagram,
Yes, you do.
/ Stephen F. Gomez. YouTube,
TikTok.
Same thing. Even TikTok, it's fun. I'm having fun with TikTok. LinkedIn, pretty much any of those platforms. If you type in Stephen F. Gomez, Stephen with a PH, F. Gomez. I'll have content there. The only one other than that is Facebook. My Facebook page is / the ASAP team. So the ASAP team.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all your wisdom and knowledge. You've always been a great resource for me over all the years that I've known you. It seems like it was just yesterday, but it has been years now.
Flies.
It does fly when you're having fun, but we won't say how many years it's been because then it just ages us. So we won't talk about that part. So thank you so much.
Yeah, hopefully we got some good content. There's a lot more, so maybe we'll do a follow-up.
Absolutely. I think we will have to. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
All right, bye. Thanks.